Good evening all. Myself Surajji, Executive Committee Member of ITP Kerala Chapter. On the behalf of ITP Kerala Chapter, I welcome you all to the third session of Web Talk series towards the better planning and implementation. Today we have thus an esteemed speaker, Dr. ASHMITA KARMAKAR, who is serving as an urban planner in UAE to share the practices adopted in UAE with regard to planning and implementation. Now I invite our Honorable Secretary of ITP Kerala Chapter, Naguldevan sir, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Suraj. And hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Naguldevan Kya, Secretary of ITP Kerala Chapter. So, as you're all aware, the Institute of Town Planners India Kerala Chapter has been conducting these expert talk events regarding planning practices based on the theme towards better planning and implementation. So today we are hosting the third session of our event for this year, and we are very happy to host an event honored by an international speaker. As we all know, planning techniques varies across the globe, and obtaining a viewpoint of these varied techniques can render us insight into bettering our own planning procedures. So in this respect, I am quite delighted to welcome our honorable guest of the day, Dr. ASHMITA KARMAKAR, to this virtual dais. She is an alumni of SPI Delhi and currently working as planner in Dubai. I am also happy to welcome our chairman, Sri Ajay Kumar, who through his efforts made this event possible. I would also like to welcome our treasurer, Sri Kiran Chandwayat, also to this dais. I would like to offer my welcome to our veteran planner of our chapter, Sri Ajay Kumar S, who would be moderating this session, as well as our member, Srimati Bindu, Assistant Professor, GEC Thrissur, to this virtual dais. My special welcome to Sri Umar Saib, our chapter member based in UAE, who made this event possible through his earnest efforts. I would also offer a warm welcome to all senior planners of ITPA fraternity from across the country, across all chapters, and also from our chapter. I would also like to offer my hearty welcome to all chapter chairmen, secretaries from all chapters in India, as also respected faculties of all planning schools in our country. I'm also happy to welcome all students, members of other chapters, all planners across the country and abroad who could join us, and each and every one of the planning fraternity who could join us. I would also convey my welcome to the team behind this event, our executive committee members. So let's all have a great session today to learn about the best practices of planning and many more in the months to come. For those who have missed our earlier sessions, you can visit our YouTube channel for the same. So let's get started with this.
Thank you, sir. With due respect, next I welcome our Honorable Chairman, Sri Ajay Kumar sir, to deliver the presidential address.
Yes, our guest speaker of the day, Dr. ASHMITA KARMAKAR, discussion moderator, Sri Ajay Kumar sir, my team members, Secretary Sri Nebul, Treasurer Sri Kiran, and other members from Town Planning Department of Kerala. I think our Chief Town Planners are also joining the meeting. ITP Kerala chapter members, members from other chapters across India, members from various educational institutions, and dear friends. Our secretary has mentioned about the sessions which we had conducted earlier. We have conducted 2 sessions in the last 2 months, which were taken by our eminent members. The first session was regarding zoning, which was taken by our veteran planner and our past chief town planner, Sri Kasuranjan sir. And the last month's session was taken by our then national president, Sri N.K. Patelji, regarding DTP schemes and their implementation. And now we are moving to the planning which is happening in developing nation and developed nations outside India. From the year 2002, I had visited UAE a number of times, and I was amazed to see the developments, the way they plan their infrastructure, and the way they develop their natural resources, the way they manage their natural resources. So all these things amaze me. Our country is having a lot of natural resources, but still we are not able to manage them properly. But in a place like UAE, where the entire area is desert, one will be amazed to see how they are managing the resources. I was also amazed to see the way they adopt the latest technologies for planning and development, developing world wonders like what you see, the Burj Khalifa, then the Palm Island, all those wonderful developments, and also how they attract tourists to their place. The tourism is one sector which brings in a lot of revenue to the nation. And they have opened up many avenues so that tourists from across the world can come in and spend usefully there. And also, I have seen some of the places where they showcase their heritage. One of the places where I visited was that their Dubai frame, where they beautifully showcase their heritage. And Dubai frame is a structure. On one side, they have showcased their ancient heritage, and on the other side, they have their developed place. When we enter from one side, you see their old around some 30 or 40, 50 years back type of developments. And then when we go to the top, we can see on one side their past heritage, and on the other side you can see their developed places. And when we come down, they show their vision for the year 2050 or so. And you will be amazed to see how they have prepared their vision for a horizon year. And based on that vision, they are working back on 2025 where they should be, 2030 where they should be. Like such a planning is happening in UAE. And their redevelopment happening in the places. In one area where I went there, I saw a beautiful villa area. And I thought it was developed some 10 or 20 years back. And a friend of mine showed me a picture of that place around 3 years back. That entire area was something like a gully. And it was developed in 3 years to a beautiful neighborhood. Likewise, if you go to that Burj Khalifa, in a place where you can see the around, they have some sort of visioning telescopes where you can see that historic view. Some 20 years back, the entire area was desert, and now the entire area is being filled with developed beautiful buildings and skyscrapers. So, and how they manage their waste. These are things which has to be studied, and if though all of those can't be accepted or all of those can't be adapted in our place, we can think of means, the ideas which can adapt it to our state and our country, and also some of the things which can be modified to suit our requirements. And we are very fortunate to have a good speaker and an eminent speaker with us, Dr. ASHMITA. And as mentioned earlier, Sri Umar Sai made it possible. I thank them, and I'm not taking much of your time. Let us move on to the sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Srimati Bindu ma'am, who is the Executive Committee member of ITP Kerala chapter and HOD of School of Planning and Architecture, Thrissur, to introduce our speaker of the day. Bindu ma'am.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Warm good evening to one and all. I'm profusely overjoyed to take the opportunity to introduce our honored speaker of the day, Dr. ASHMITA Karmakar, Senior Project Urban Planner, Proposals and Projects, Khatib and Alami, UAE. Dr. ASHMITA Karmakar is a graduate in architecture from Nagpur University. She took her master's in urban and regional planning from Indian Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology, Shibpur, West Bengal, and PhD in environmental planning from School of Planning and Architecture in New Delhi. She has been working in the field of urban planning since 2002. She has worked with various consulting companies, semi-government and government authorities in UAE for more than 15 years. She is an active participant in the development of smart city projects. Apart from the professional field, she is also actively participating in academics by mentoring young planners. She is also visiting faculty in Amity University, Dubai, and she has also published several articles in national and international journals. Today, we are privileged to have an opportunity to listen to her on the topic Planning and Implementation Strategies Adopted in Dubai, UAE, and to get enriched with her experiences and interesting insights on various global urban issues and challenges.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Next, we will move on to the session, which we are eagerly waiting for by Dr. ASHMITA Kumar, madam. Prior to that, I request all the participants to mute the audio and feel free to type the queries in the chat box. We will be spending half an hour for clearing the queries after the presentation, and it will be moderated by Sri Ajay Kumar sir, who is a former Chief Town Planner and former Chairman of ITP KRC. Now he's a team leader of project management company, Cochin Smart Mission Limited. We will also be sharing a feedback form at the end of the session. Kindly find time for filling it. Thank you all. Now I hand over the dais, Dr. ASHMITA ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Suraj. And thanks all of you, Honorable Chairman, Omar sir, and members of ITPI, for giving me this opportunity to share my views as well as the practice which we do in the UAE for now. I would like to share a few of my slides through which I would like to give my views also and the practice which is adopted here in the Dubai for the planning procedures. So can we start now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as we all know, Dubai started with a desert kind of area where the people's livelihood was based on mainly fishing, pearl diving, and most of the people, they were nomads. And from there, Dubai has come up to a certain stage, the modern Dubai, where you can see Burj Khalifa, Burj Al Arab, high-class infrastructure, and metro, we have monorail, and several other things which are like very scarce and which is like a vision to all the world and other countries. So while doing this, Dubai is very blessed to have Sheikh Mohammed as their visionary leader and Prime Minister of UAE. Because of him, Dubai has come to a certain level, which is now a world-class smart city. And for us, like architects and planners, it's a kind of example which the leader has set in front of the world. As Dubai has started with pearl diving, slowly with the petroleum and trade, Dubai has come up to a level of a proper trade center with lots of commercial activities. And because of this, there was a huge population influx starting from year 1950 to now. Also, there are several developments which is bringing more tourists. And because of this, Dubai has tried to develop the infrastructure to support this tourism, the real estate, and the hospitality sector like anything. So as a result, few people, they come to visit and few, they stay back, they find a job here, and they add up to the residential sector. So as a result, there was an expansion of the urban area. From 1955, it started from 3.2 kilometers, where now it has come up to a level like which is size of a city. And with this, there was densification as well as enhancement of different areas within the city as well as outside the city also. Now, Dubai is prepared for the 2040 master plan, where they're seeing different sectors or different hubs which will be enhanced and which will grow further. And they have identified those 5 hubs. And with the Expo 2020 and the development of trade, Dubai is going to grow further in future. So there will be an like influx of more and more population, and Dubai wants to make it a vibrant city, a healthy city, and a city which will be safe for all the residents as well as visitors. And Dubai is also trying to make it a sustainable city by enhancing the landscape sector, by introducing more and more livable environment. You know that Dubai is having extreme climate, more or less, more than 6 years, the climate is very hot. So with the help of introducing more landscape features, the greenery, Dubai is trying to help and bring all the visitors from all over the world to see this place for more than 6 months time, or mostly throughout the year. So Dubai is simultaneously trying to preserve its heritage structures, the heritage areas from where it has begun. And as Sir said, they have tried to conserve those areas, plus they have tried to explore the modern technologies and bring up the city in like, you know, high rises and the towers like features, and creek and different types of features which are going to strengthen this area in terms of infrastructure, tourism, and sustainability. This is showing the Dubai 2040 plan, where you can see most of the areas which are already existing. They are trying to enhance those areas. They want to re-densify them, enhance in terms of landscape features, more of greenery, plus they want to expand the city to the different outside areas like satellite towns, and they want to connect and integrate all those sectors together to form the whole city. So from the administrative point of view and from planning point of view, Dubai municipality was established in the year 1954 when the urban growth just started. And as the city grew more and more, they had to decentralize in terms of, say, some smaller sectors. And because of this, the administrative sectors also got decentralized into smaller hubs, like Dubai Development Authority. This is the authority which mainly gives permission and the planning regulations for the places which are free zones and the creative zones. Then there is Dubai Silicon Oasis. Trakhis is mainly giving the planning developments for the reclaimed islands like Palm Jumeirah, Palm Dera, Palm Jebel Ali, plus all the Nakheel developments. Then there is Jebel Ali Free Zone, where the new airport is coming up. This zone has a lot of industrial sectors as well, with the airport, airport and the Palm Jebel Ali also within this area. Then there's Dubai South Authority, another industrial hub which is coming up in the future. It has started growing, but with the Expo coming up, this sector is going to grow further. As I told you, Dubai has one side of preserving or conserving the heritage structures. So these are the structures which are found mainly in Old Dubai along the creek. There are gold souks, there are some palaces, museums. Those places are now being rehabilitated by Dubai government to introduce more and more functions and to make this area active throughout the year. They hold events, they hold exhibitions, and they hold different small and big music events also. Plus, they are enhancing these areas with new landscape strategies, and they want to preserve this area as is by keeping this area along with the modern structures. Now, Dubai has seen many reclaimed islands like Palm Jumeirah, the World, Palm Jebel Ali, and Palm Dera. So these are the islands which are very famous, and they can be seen from the space also. And the most important thing is the maintenance of these islands. So there is constantly dredging going on. They want to maintain the island area as is. Plus, there are some predefined guidelines for these areas which the developer has to maintain to keep the islands in this current status. On the other side, near the waterfront, Dubai has seen many high rises, such as Dubai Marina and Dubai Creek, Business Bay. These are the mainly business and residential hubs, which has come up in the shape of high-rise towers. And Burj Khalifa is also one of them. And these are the waterfront properties which give residences a leisure activity or some waterfront activities to support. There are few areas in Dubai which are highly green. You can see there are golf courses, very heavily landscape and high density areas like Dubai Creek and Emirates Hills, Al Barari. So, I mean, if you go there, you don't, experience that this is the middle of the desert. They are highly maintained, and they give you a different kind of feeling, like you are not in the desert, but you are in the middle of Singapore or Malaysia or a tropical area. These towers are like along Sheikh Zayed Road, and these towers are mainly the business hubs and residential hubs. If you want to stay in a place which is in the middle of the city or heart of the city, you can choose one of these towers to set up your business or your residential accommodation. So as I was telling you, these areas, they have a particular theme of development and they have their predefined zoning guidelines. So there is a guideline for the towers, for the islands, for the heritage areas, all which are looked after by different administrative sectors, planning sectors, and the developers, they are made to follow the guidelines to keep up with the regulations. Now here, while we are doing the planning for different scale of master plans, sometimes when there is a mixed development, and suppose the master plan is stalled for a few years and then it again starts with different kind of idea or a vision, we go for it with a feasibility or market study. So sometimes there are consultants who do the feasibility study for the main consultants. In that feasibility study, we try to identify the land use which will be suitable for that area. Maybe the old land use will no longer be feasible. So they try to come up with a new land use, with a new land use typology, like what will be compatible with the primary land use. And the GFA is the gross floor area, which we have to identify in order to distribute it throughout the development. And there's a GFA distribution among different land uses. Say for a villa, it will be less, and for high rises, it will be high. But how to distribute it with the retail at the ground floor, residential and commercial on the other floors, this is given as a guideline by our market study or feasibility study consultants. So they also find out like what will be the ROI if they go for this kind of development, what will be the phasing plan, how the development is going to come up, like in one phase, you have the full development, or it will be subdivided into phases to come up with the development which will be sustainable. So while starting the planning process, we go about doing a site study, which starts with the data collection and review. So in the data collection, we try to find out what is the site boundary through the affection plan. I will come up to this affection plan at a later stage. Then we also try to identify what is the maximum allowable GFA for that particular plot, which is going to be distributed among the different types of land uses and the different types of development structures. Then we also try to find out what is the as-built structure or infrastructure within the site, which may be planned or which is already existing or maybe in the vision. Then the existing traffic and road network. By this, we try to find out where is the site access, how the traffic is working surrounding the site, how the road network is working along the site, and how the access is going to be maybe diverted to the site, or we are going to create more than one access to the site. So there will be some more things like future strategy, which will be impacting the site. Maybe there's a big project which is coming up, which is also impacting the site. So we'll have to take into consideration those impacts and we'll have to plan accordingly. Now, there are some set of guidelines which are form of zoning guidelines for a different type of a character of development. And these guidelines are mainly because of the character of the site and how the site is going to be developed in an area which is maybe in the middle of the desert, near the waterfront, or in an area which is already densely populated. So these characters are governed by the guidelines, which gives us the idea of what will be the maximum height, what will be the land uses, distribution, the setbacks, projections in that particular area, which we need to follow in order to development the master plan. The next stage is the pre-concept master plan or preliminary master plan. Here we do the site survey, like topographic survey, which gives us the idea of the terrain, the geotechnical soil investigation, which gives us the soil quality and how the structure will be, whether it can be high rise, low rise, or both. Then another thing is environmental impact assessment. If the development is already surrounded by existing development, there's no need of environmental impact assessment because it might have already been done. So we review what is the guidelines which are to be followed for that particular site. Otherwise, we do it from the fresh, right from how the soil is, how the flora, fauna, how the vision for the development is. So all the soil structure, the water table, everything is taken into consideration while preparing this environmental impact assessment. Then we go for the site analysis, the site opportunities and constraints, the master plan vision, which is usually given by the developer, how they want to develop the site, and the consultant has to adopt that vision and move forward in order to develop. Then land use distribution. Land use can be starting from residential to mixed use, commercial. So this is already a part of the vision, but it is up to the master planner to identify the type of land use and to also come up with a vision or maybe satisfy the vision which the developer has already in their mind. Then there will be a high-level land use plan prepared at this stage, which will give the high-level plot configuration, the high-level population estimation. And based on the population estimation, we try to define what the community facilities will be to support the development. And not only the community facilities, but also the green open spaces, the network, the strategy or the theme of the development, everything is decided here at this stage. A high-level road network, road hierarchy, infrastructure load assessment for power, water, drainage, sewerage, and the high-level infrastructure network is also identified here at the pre-concept stage. If the master planner is preparing the pre-concept master plan or the preliminary master plan, other sectors like infrastructure, they will have to validate it and do the estimate to support that master plan. Then we move on to the concept master plan and draft sign-off sheet. Now, this is a very particular thing which is very evident here in Dubai and UAE in particular. When we prepare the concept master plan or the concept land use master plan, this is little bit more refined of the pre-concept prepared by us. We study the pre-concept stage of master plan to come up with the concept master plan. In this, we try to be more accurate in terms of population estimation, the GFA and its distribution, the building height, the community facility, open space plan, road network, infrastructure network, parking plan, and open space strategy or the theme, the land use budget, summary, and sign-off sheet. Sign-off sheet is a sheet which gives us the detailed land use plan, the plot configuration, along with the details of the plot in a tabular form. So altogether, it's known as the sign-off sheet, which is reviewed by the authority. Once we finish the master planning, we coordinate during that stage with the authorities. We introduce this master plan to the authority. And after that, Once we finish with the report of the concept master plan and the sign-off sheet, we submit this to the authority in order to get their approval. Next stage is the detailed master plan. In this master plan, like from concept to detail, there will be some more adjustment done to the master plan. Plus, there will be some submissions to the different authorities for infrastructure, basically, in order to get their views and the approvals from different infrastructure authorities and support the master plan. And at the end, we submit the total package to the planning planning authority to get their planning approval on the final master plan and the sign-off sheet. During this time, we come up with the level of concept infrastructure design, concept landscape design, concept building design. However, if you see the first 2 points, concept infra design and landscape design, this forms a package with the master plan, which we submit to the authority. However, in the building design, at this stage, we can start the work, but there is no submission to the authority. After we get the approval on the final master plan and the sign-off sheet, we move forward to prepare the affection plan. Affection plan is a single document which gives the details such as land use, the land use typology, the maximum allowable GFA for that plot, the access, setback, maximum building height, authority approval, and the stamp is also there. This is a document which you can carry or the developer can carry in order to finalize one plot or the whole master plan. After we finish with the affection plan, we move forward to update the GIS system. Now, this GIS system is only one system, which is with Dubai municipality. Once we finish the master plan, maybe with any authority in Dubai, say XYZ, we take this master plan to Dubai municipality in order to update the GIS system, which forms the single system which shows entire Dubai in the under the same umbrella. Then we move forward to get the detailed design NOCs. Detailed design NOC is basically for detailed infrastructure design and detailed building design. Detailed landscape design in this is for the developer because we don't have a separate submission for the landscape design to any of the authorities, but we have to align the landscape planning with the master plan as well as the infrastructure design. Then we move forward to the tendering part. In tendering, the infrastructure sectors, they prepare all the documents for the issue for construction drawings, the specifications, and we provide support to the client in order to fix the tender and call the contractors. Then comes the part which is construction supervision. The supervision takes place for infrastructure in terms of master planning, for buildings in terms of the building design or architecture, and for landscape also in terms of the landscape planning. So there can be 3 teams or it can be done by 1 team, and where we have the specialist for all 3, like infrastructure, landscape, and building. So this is how we proceed for the master plan approval with the building design. Now, this is something which we follow in DDA, which is Dubai Development Authority, which is the planning authority for most of the projects and the master plans of Dubai, including the free zones. So here we have the preliminary master plan, the sign-off sheet preparation, and the final master plan. The second slide, it shows how and when we register for the infrastructure or TIS. Like it happens in the preliminary master plan stage. The registration is done with the different authorities. For TIS, it is RTA. For EIA, it is DM or Dubai municipality. And then when we move to the sign-off sheet, we get the final approval or the sign-off sheet signed by all authorities to reach the final master plan stage. So when we reach the final master plan package, we should have all the NOCs from all authorities, plus we have the planning NOC for the master plan itself. Now here, I would like to show how the development guidelines are generated. This is to support the final master plan. It's a package which is prepared separately with the final master plan package, where we show the plot, each and every plot with its setback, the access, the maximum building height, GFA, the view, where the land uses are distributed, how they are distributed, whether the plot has a podium, podium with retail, podium with parking, and the above floors. This is giving a general guideline for all the plots within the master plan, which the developer and the plot owner has to follow in order to develop the buildings within the plan. This one is a sample of the sign-off sheet, what I was explaining you before. Here we have the entire land use master plan with a table, plus the right-hand side is kept for all the authority approvals for their stamping and signature. So once we submit this to the planning authority with all the documents completed, we get the final approval on the master plan. Now in Dubai and in UAE, I would say everything is very much systematic. So there is a checklist while we are filling the application for master plan submission or building permit submission. Then we have a checklist for the master planning submission of different stages, right from concept master plan to final master plan. So once you fulfill all these stages and you put a tick mark against all these boxes, then only the master plan package is accepted by the authority. If any document is missing, it is not accepted right at the starting stage. So you'll have to complete all the procedures to reach up to this level before you submit the master plan. This is a list of NOCs which we need to fulfill by circulating our master plan to different departments or government departments, right from roads, traffic, water, electricity, aviation. So there are all total 18 to 20 NOCs which are required in order to fulfill the master plan process and get the final planning approval. Unless and until we get any of these NOCs, we are not able to proceed to the next stage of submission. Even the final submission is on hold if we don't have any of these NOCs which are given in the list. These NOCs are already identified by the planning authorities, and this is a checklist for all the developers as well as the consultants to follow. This is a sample of the affection plan, which I was mentioning. Here we give the plot details in terms of the area, GFA, height, and sometimes we provide the infrastructure details also, which goes to the developer in order to share that with the contractors. Now, while we finish the master plan and the building design stage, there's an issuance of the title deed, which comes from Dubai Land Department. Along with that, the owner also gets a copy of the affection plan. The validity of the affection plan is 2 years. After 2 years, this gets expired and you cannot start the work until and unless you renew the affection plan and the title deed and get a new one to start your work. Maybe it can be construction, or it can be renewal. It can be like changing the land use or any other use of this particular document. So once we get all the permits, then only we can start the construction at the site or change the land use. Now, after the master plan is complete, there are some changes maybe due to economic scenario or due to the reuse of the excess or the vacant land, reuse of excess of green open spaces. So this particular thing is known as master plan modification. So modification can happen for a road. See the first example where there was ROW, but no service road to serve these gray colored plots, the peripheral plots. So this master plan was to be studied in terms of the right of way, the infrastructure which are laid within the right of way, then how the plot access and the network is surrounding those plots, how the access can be worked out for these plots. It can be internal, usually or ideally the access for all the plots within the master plan should be within the master plan area. But if for some reason it does not happen, then we study the master plan again and try to give a service road which will be within the master plan, or it can be outside the master plan, but serving those plots which do not have the access. Now, the next example is using the open spaces and the utility plots to identify them. And sometimes there's a subdivision of those open spaces if they are large in size. And if we want to consume part of it for any other use and keep part of it for the existing land use, which will be either open space or utilities. So these are studied properly in terms of, again, the site, the surrounding of the site, the circulation, the infrastructure layout as built or maybe existing. And then we produce the subdivision plan, which is again as per the client vision and what they want to come out of the big master plan with a smaller master plan within the master plan. So that is also worked out. And this modification package, once it is completed, it is submitted to the authority in the same manner like master plan modification package with the final sign-off sheet and a package of modification showing the previous and the post modification stage. And then we get the approval along with, say, RTA and infrastructure approval sometimes. Now here, there are modifications for the plot expansion. Again, we need to study these plots in terms of the circulation, infrastructure layout, and the guidelines. If the land use changes from residential to commercial, we have to redevelop the guidelines for the commercial because the earlier one was residential and it had a different setback, building height, and population estimation also. So for the new land use or the new guidelines, we have to sometimes move in a different way to come up with a solution which will be in favor of the client as well as the developer. Now, the last example, which shows one vacant plot, which was converted into a set of villa plots. So since this area was lying vacant, there was some feasibility study on this. And they came up with this option of developing this particular plot into villa plots. So it was studied in terms of this plot configuration, the infrastructure requirement, the building height, and then once the package was complete, it was submitted to the authority for the final master plan package or the modification package with the sign-off sheet. And then we got the approval, and then we updated this in GIS system with Dubai municipality, and now it is showing in the Dubai map. Now here, there was another land use or a substation, you can say, which is in between two villa plots, and the compound wall between the two villa plots was conflicting between the boundary of the villa plots and the substation boundary. So it was reworked, and then we had to separate these three boundaries and three land uses. And it was again a part of the modification package, which was submitted to the authority for approval. So these are the various cases which we deal with once the master plan is completed and approved. So this is reworking on the master plan for different kinds of reasons. Now for the preparation of master plan and infrastructure design, now Dubai has started using Revit, and Revit is a tool where, I mean, my personal experience is that I have seen the 2D and 3D in one particular sheet. By just clicking, you can get all the attributes, all the 3D and 2D drawings with all the information which are required for the plot, right from setback to building height, number of floors, the efficiency of the building, and how it will look as a view or perspective view of the development. Now, this has been introduced like few months ago, but it's still in the developing stage and people are adopting in their different offices. And now, like within few months of time, this will become a regular practice and will be adopted by all. The use of BIM. BIM is again, is a newly introduced tool to us. It's kind of platform where we can plan, we can review or share the documents with the client, with the authorities or stakeholders. And at the same time, we can give our comments also. And the same platform is, without taking much of your space in the Outlook or your emails, it can be handled by a number of people under the same cloud. Now, once we complete the master plan, usually it is done on AutoCAD, then we try to convert this into MicroStation. It's a kind of software which is readily accepted by DM before they put it in the GIS system. So the MicroStation has a different color code and a different kind of land use configuration, or the type of configuration which we use, maybe the line type, the line colors and all that. So once we finish the master plan in CAD, we convert that into MicroStation under DM format, and then we submit it to the DM to update their GIS system. Now, GIS system is completely controlled by the Dubai municipality. They have their GIS section, and once we submit the MicroStation, it is converted to GIS, and then it appears on the Dubai master plan. So this is how we can see our master plan on the Dubai map after completing some procedures which are here. Now, that's it. And thank you for being very patient and listening to me. Now you can ask your questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Oh, thank you, ma'am. It was a nice presentation. Now we will move on to the open discussion. For that, I invite the veteran planner, Sri Ajay Kumar sir, for moderating the session.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajay Kumar, Prabal, and ITPI Kerala chapter for giving me this opportunity to moderate the third session of our continuing program. I would congratulate the ITPI dignitaries for having such a program. As everybody knows, every professional has to keep abreast with the latest developments in the field, and the related fields. And we were having previous two sessions from the eminent planners, and the third one is also from another eminent planner who has got elaborate and enormous experience in Dubai. And she had the cutting edge experience in the planning field and implementation that shows in her presentation, which was very accurate and to the point. And I congratulate her for such a presentation, which is very useful for the planning fraternity in Kerala and around India. Before I also couldn't get much questions from from the participants, but one by one it is coming up. Before going into the participant question, let me ask you a few questions just to enlighten me about some issues which I feel that that is useful for our planning here in India and Kerala, as well as I would say that for smart cities for in India. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Ajay Kumar. I did my post-graduation from SPA in New Delhi in 1986, quite long ago. And I was a past chief town planner for government of Kerala, and was past chairman of the Kerala Real Estate Authority for a couple of years. And I was a member of the State Environmental Appraisal Committee, and currently I am heading the project management consultants for the Cochin Smart Mission Limited at Kochi. So I had been some experience outside also. I was working in WSP International a few years outside. Let me come to my queries, I can say, not questions. I would like to retime it. Ashmita, can you tell me why this Dubai is going into the sea when the land is adequately available on the seashore?
Good question, actually. Dubai wants to be #1 in all respect. Okay, so they developed this particular Palm Jumeirah, the reclaimed lands. And as I told you, these are seen from the space also. So there are only a few structures which you can see from space. One is the pyramids and the Great Wall of China, and the third one is the Palm Jumeirah. So they want to compete in all respect and be #1. So this is the vision of, you can say, Dubai Sheikh, and this is how they are developing. They want to take hold of the desert side by developing like Burj Khalifa like structure, as well as they want to have, some more ownership on the sea also. Whether it's required or not, this is their vision and they're fulfilling it.
Yeah, actually the vision you cannot question, you cannot evaluate on the basis of economy or some other thing. It's a grand vision, you can see, and really Dubai cashed in on that vision, that I understand, because of all these developments which are on a grand scale. Yeah. Before going into this time, I will ask you one more question. This densification, is it necessary for Dubai, where you have a lot of land? I can understand it is in India, you need densification processes because, the land is very less or really in short supply. But why Dubai is going in for densification? Is it for economy purpose or something else?
Not really, but let me give you an example. When Dubai started spreading its wings in different sectors, they developed the developments like the master plans in bits and pieces. So now they want to integrate all of them and create a sustainable kind of development. So while doing this, they are restudying all those master plan areas. See, when you develop a master plan, the infrastructure is already planned over there. So if you have a vacant land, a vast vacant land or vast open spaces which are not required, which are not easily maintained by the authority, you can subdivide those spaces and bring up some new land uses or mixed uses over there and create it and integrate it as a part of the master plan. So this is a kind of utilization of the vacant land or land which is underutilized, optimize the saleable plots. Plus, you have everything ready around the land, which is the infrastructure layout, the road layout, and you have the assessment of the traffic already done. So it's more easier for them to grow within those small sectors rather than starting a new development with a fresh infrastructure plan.
Yeah, that's great and fine. I'm not taking somebody's time, I will come back to, if time permits, the later on, because I would like to get some information on the infrastructure provision for a master plan. But let others also come to questions. Sri Satyanarayana, sir, please.
Yeah. I have 2-3 questions, ma'am.
Yes.
India is a democratic country, and master plan is very. It's not possible to implement in toto. Our experience says there are a lot of difficulties are there with the local people, and the owners of the lands are different. Government cannot take over any land for master plan, roads or open spaces or parks. It's very difficult here. Situation different, and the political interference is there. A lot of municipal councillors, MLAs, ministers also go. Don't go there. Don't give up. Take the land without the payment of the compensation. Recently, in 2013, the Parliament passed a bill to give 4 times the land value. So about 10,000 rupees square yard land is there. then you have to pay 40,000 rupees per square yard. It's not possible to acquire the land. When a road widening portion is there, it's very difficult. So we are adapted to other issues, giving shops, giving building permission, free of cost. Those things we are attempting in Hyderabad. Hyderabad is a metropolitan city, very big city. We have been doing a lot of master plan works, but we are very difficult to implement here. Dubai is the kingdom is there. What the king says, we have to accept it. It is not here. That is my problem.
Let me give you an example here. What we follow after we submit the master plan, the duration of the review and giving approval by the authorities, now it has been structured and regularized, and the total duration is not more than 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks' time, we can expect a result. This is not happening in India or other places. So we have different authorities, different sub-authorities, administrative authorities. We have many, but they are not aligned. That is number one. Number two is they don't have a structure to follow or any duration or a standard duration, which we have here, maybe because of the governance or whatever may be the reason, but there is a structure to follow by all, like by consultants, by developers, and by the federal authority, and they are all aligned. There's nothing deviating from the, say, basic 2 weeks time. And within those 2 weeks time, you will get a result, or you will get their advice or rejection or acceptance. So this is what it matters. It saves a lot of time and helps us to proceed to the next stage of development.
We are having other problems, like acquisition problem for the master plan roads and other things. Another problem is political influence, local councillor, local MLAs also interfere.
Yes, we have too many bodies, I think, and because of that, we lose the vision actually, how to develop, because I have studied all these legal issues also when I was doing my master's in India. So for one forward moving step, we have 10 other steps to bring you back. So what we study, sometimes I will give you an example. Suppose you have a plot in India and you develop a part of that plot into a religious area. So your plot is secured because you have a religious area over there and nobody can move it or shift it and take over it. So the plot remains yours, as well as you have the full authority to develop the rest of the plot in your own way without anybody acquiring your plot. I don't know, I mean, how much correct I am, but I have seen several cases like this.
We have, in road widening, we have taken many masks and other allowance. We are demolished we have to convince them first. We have to have a meeting with them, local meeting many times. In old city, I have done a lot of road widening programs in Charmar area, very congested area. We have taken over all the road widening portion. For 80 feet road, made 40% from center. So we have taken 20 feet either side. We demolished all the buildings. The government is also helping us. My Chief Minister was interested in that. The whole problem in India is political willingness should be there always. The Chief Minister and the other ministers should give full powers to the town plan. Then only it will be successful. Normally in India, in Hyderabad, we are unable to implement the master plan 40%, not more than 40%. That is my experience.
Yeah, there is administrative differences from India and Dubai. Definitely, that will definitely reflect in the planning process and implementation and the success of the master plan also. Now, others can come up with the questions, please. Now, I have got a few queries from the planners. It's like, one thing is that, what about the public consultation process? Then time of completion of a plan and the role of consultancies. I have got some queries from the participants. Now, let me see, this master plan that ASHMITA has described is only for the part of a city, and it's not for the whole of the city, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so this questions is well is to be considered. I feel. What is the consultation process between the agencies or authorities, or is there any public involved? Public, I mean, not the agencies and the government, but any other public involved, because this is more important in our area where government is there, developer is there, then MLA, MPs are, Satyanarayana was telling, there are so many people are involved. So we had to consult them also. Is there such a process there also, or is it only a process between the developer and a consultation between the developer and the authorities?
Okay, let me go one by one. If you are saying whether public consultation is there or not, yes, it is there. There's something called happiness meter, which is with all the authorities and all government and private sectors. So once you go for a submission, you have your happiness meter in front of you, where you can select whether you are happy with their service or not. Happy, neutral, or you are not happy at all. So you have three choices. So this is how they get their feedback, like how they are giving service to the local people, the consultants, and whoever is coming to them for getting their services. This is number one. And for whatever I have showed you in this is a part of the master plan of various scales, starting from a small to big. But when it comes to the city level, this is under national plan of UAE. National plan, when they develop it after every, say, decade or every 5 to 10 years. There's a review of the area or the broader level or a regional level. And while doing the review, they take into consideration these master plans which are already developed, which are already there in the GIS system under Dubai municipality. Plus, they also review the vision which they have thought for next 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, and whether they are going in the same direction with whatever is existing or not. That is how they proceed. Say if it is infrastructure, they will study the infrastructure which is already developed, which is already planned, and what is there in their mission or the vision for next 10, 20 years. They will do an assessment and they will try to work out how it is going to work in the network or in the terms of different hubs, or as a whole an integrated sector with all the master plans and the city level plans integrated together.
Okay, yeah, there is one question from Rajesh. Rajesh, please come.
I just was looking at the democratic process that we have now in India as far as the Kerala is concerned. When you compare with the, you have worked with, I think you understand the process in Kerala and also in the Middle East. The democratic process that is being involved in preparation of plans, whether that democratic process and involvement of the public, whether that much involvement is there and the democratic process is there in your preparation of plan. See, generally what I find is in Dubai, there is a lot of influence of European influence or the US influence of inviting consultants, preparing plans in a very large scale so that they have to position in the world level. So that kind of aspect is a totally different one when we compare to that of Kerala level. Kerala, this level of satisfaction that a citizen gets when you compare with a citizen in Dubai and the level of satisfaction that you get in living standards, whether that is achievable, whether you can have a questionnaire where it say that okay, I am very happy, but to a certain level, whether that point is being achieved or not.
See, what I can say, Dubai is a melting pot for all types of people in the world. They want all the people of the world to come and stay over here, whether for work or for business or for any other reasons. That's why they want to have the flavor of each and every country within this country and develop this as a city for all. So if you India, this is a different kind of a culture. We have our own particular culture, own tradition, which we want to preserve and conserve for the future also. But if you come to infrastructure, I think the way the infrastructure is maintained here is something which we need to learn. And in India, once it is made, it stops there. There's no maintenance from, I mean, now people are like coming up with awareness of increasing the greenery, cleanliness, and all these, but this has just started. And I think if it continues, I mean, days are not far when we can come up to some level which will satisfy everybody.
Okay.
No, what I'm trying to tell was the democratic process of preparation of plans. When you compare with our system, not only India, especially in Kerala, whether that has been achieved in preparation of plans in Dubai. You engage a consultant, he talks about a plan which people will invest. You will have good infrastructure. People are bound to do whatever the plans say. That is what it is happening in Dubai. But in Kerala, where you have a homestead development, you have an organic development, where we have to take into consideration of the people as people who are living there. That kind of aspect is not there in Dubai. So there is a lot of difference from the way of planning in Dubai and that of Kerala. So in that way, how it is democratic, that is what I was asking about it.
See, what I understand, Dubai, all the plans are fresh. They have plenty of land, and whatever is happening, I mean, these are all fresh kind of development without anybody already staying there and they have a different kind of a community which is going to interact with the planning authority or governance, or they can also resist. But in India, it's a different kind of a case. So we have already something existing. There will be people who might not agree, who might agree with your plan. So there are differences in the planning here and in India. But we also have different kinds of procedures and different kinds of planning techniques. And we would say we have different sectors, vision and their agreement on the plan. But the thing is, it takes time when something is already existing to convert it into a new development or a fresh development or introduce something new. It takes time. But here it's a different case.
Yeah, Ajay Kumar has got one question, I feel, I think.
Yes, sir. Hello?
Yeah, please. Yeah, please. Please.
So,
We can hear you. We can hear you.
So first of all, let me say it was a great presentation. It was very informative. And my doubt is, ma'am, you said you can include a 3D system into GIS system. I just want to know how you people include 3D into GIS. Like when we click on the GIS system and the land is properly shown and we could get the 3D from the GIS. Is that what you said?
No, 3D is not a part of GIS. What we do is we introduce this is for our internal viewing of plan and the development. Like we prepare a 2D, and while we are submitting, we have to present a vision to the authority how the entire plan is going to look like. So that is where the 3D comes into picture. But when it goes to GIS, it is the 2D microstation drawing which is submitted to Dubai municipality, and they convert it into their GIS system. But if you go into Google, you know how they work. They have a car with a camera and they go around all the roads and they take pictures. So whenever you see a 3D in Google, that means the car has already gone there, they took pictures, and this is what you can see in the 3D.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Vidya has a query. Please, Vidya, please.
Hi, Ashmita.
Hello.
Hi. It is good to connect with you in this platform. My query is, we have the process of traffic impact studies, wherein we predict the impact of forecasted traffic in the existing infrastructure, and recommendations are given for the development of traffic regulatory or mitigation measures in and around the site. So similarly, how do you assess the impact on other infrastructure in terms of water and sewerage and even the power? So if the proposed development is increasing the density very high, if it is a high-rise building, how is the impact of it on the existing other infrastructure assets? Is there any process, or it is just connected to the existing facilities around?
It depends. Suppose you have the existing connection. Sometimes we connect it to the existing connections or the network which is already there, say for sewerage. We try to assess the flow and then we try to connect it if possible. If not, then we have to create another channel to decide on the outflow and the network also. So this is how it works. For traffic also, if you see now the master plan is asking about the traffic of the surrounding areas of the master plan area, not only within the master plan, but outside, and how you mitigate it. Suppose you have existing structures and existing master plans or developed areas outside your site, which is to be master plan. You'll have to study all of them. And if required, you'll have to work on the major junctions and the network also to mitigate the traffic, which will be generated from your development and which is going to merge to the outside development.
And so how is it when it comes to water supply? If the projected water demand is higher than what is existing and available to that area, then how is the gap bridged?
You lay a new network for that. You do
so that authorities take the responsibility to lay a new supply line.
No, it's the developer. No, it's the developer who has to decide and who has to be aligned with the authority regulations and then create the new network or the new outfall or the new kind of connection for the master plan.
So what will be the source of water then? It's all desalinated water.
Yes.
So it will be, is it the responsibility of the developer to have a desalination plant and have the adequate water in place, or is it the authority's responsibility?
No. It's the developer's responsibility in line with authority regulations.
Okay, so that is a stark difference from, I think, Indian scenario. Yeah, okay.
For district cooling, you have a district cooling center already. Okay, from there you can either tap or you can go for a separate district cooling for your development, or you can have your individual chillers of the buildings within the development. So it's up to you how you design it, how you plan it, and how you can satisfy the developer for that option.
Okay, so that that means developer has more options and more freedom in planning his area.
See, at the end, developer will be gaining the ROI, okay, for whatever he is planning. So it is his responsibility to create and to give all the options which are required for developing the master plan in order to get a sustainable development and return of investment from there.
And I also think that there is being a place of monarchy and the rules are so strictly implemented, the environmental activism and those kind of issues are non-existent in Dubai. Am I right?
To some extent, yes, I agree with you. Because in India, what happens, once you prepare the EIA or Environmental Impact Assessment report, it can easily say that, okay, your development cannot come in this place or it cannot happen. But here, it's a kind of supportive sector, to the kind of development which we do here.
So I think developments like Nakhil's and into the sea developments, it will never happen in our country because, I think our rules are much more stricter. Environmental law and legislation is much more evolved in our country than in UAE, which is good, I believe.
See, it depends on the vision of the leader also. If we want, why not? We can also have that kind of a vision and develop it accordingly, but everybody will have to support.
Yeah, it depends upon the systems that we are working. Now, Vidyadhar has got a question. Please.
So, Good evening, sir. I'm a regional chapter chairman, Vidyadhar, and also working as a director of town country planning. Yeah, I have a question, sir, with regard to the landscape area. That is, how much extent of the land is actually earmarked while preparing the master plan? If it is, and where it is showing in the master plan, whether it is in the government land or any other private land also. I want to have a clarification on this issue, sir.
See, what I can say, for any master plan, we reserve at least 10% of the master plan area for landscape and open spaces. If it is less than 10% of the total master plan area, it is not accepted by the authority for approval. And if it is more, then well and good. But how you develop that, how you create a network of open space strategy, how the theme is presented, and how the master plan is showcased with the kind of landscape which has to be aligned with the theme as well as the master plan development. Everything is looked together, and a package is also produced during the final master plan stage and detailed design. And detailed design, if you see, if you have infrastructure under the soil, you'll have to cover it with a landscape cover. It can be soft cover, it can be trees, depending on the type of infra you have. If you have electrical line going underneath, you cannot have deep trees or deep rooted trees over there. So you can only have a soft scape, or you can have hardscape cover. So these are also looked together in the master plan layout by the developer as well as by the authorities.
And who owns the land under this earmark for this land?
The green open space landscape area is under the developer, and developer has to maintain it throughout the master plan.
Okay, thank you so much, madam.
Thank you.
Now, Divya, please, your question.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, I would like to know about the people's participation which happens during each stage of master plan design. Will they welcome any suggestions during the master plan design, during the master plan process?
Here, I would say the developer take the lead. Okay, they decide, and these developers, they are kind of part of the federal government also. And they have a vision plan which has to be aligned, and they have been given the plot to develop within that vision. So it's their responsibility what they want to create in order to fulfill all the requirements, plus how they develop the land in order to get the return also.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Now, Jacob Bisho has something to ask, please.
Yeah. Hope you are hearing me.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear it. We can hear it.
Madam, see, actually, it may be my misunderstanding or my problem. I don't know. Are you talking about the master plan of a city or something other area? If you are
She explained it earlier that it is only for a portion, not for the Dubai city. That is an international plan.
Sure. What is the how that planning unit is delineated? How you are getting that planning unit? Again, another question. What is the role of local government or the development authority in this planning? Then what are the you can offer for Kerala planners from your Gulf experience? Then again, I have few doubt. Some development is going to the sea area. Is it coastal regulations so rules are not applicable there? These are some of the doubt I need.
Okay, first of all, I would like to again say that the developer owns the land of the master plan. and it's up to their vision how they want to develop it, whether it can be a mixed use or a villa. It depends on the market scenario and what the market is preferring at this point of time of economic downturn or economic upturn, whatever is the situation. This is number one. Based on that, the developer decides what kind of planning is going to be done within that area. Number one. Yeah, you are breaking up actually.
Do you have master plan for a city?
A city, yes, we do have. See, Dubai is one of the 7 Emirates. Okay, so there are master plans for each and every Emirates, okay, which is already there with the municipality, and it is administered by those municipalities. But in case of Dubai, because the trend is having different types of master plans and with different themes within one Emirates, there are multiple administrative bodies or planning authorities within the same Emirates. In Abu Dhabi also it is limited, and Abu Dhabi has different types of guidelines, starting from the residential to civic amenities, facilities, landscape, waterfront areas. There are 18 to 20 guidelines, and they have developed those guidelines based on different zones. So once we prepare the master plan, we have to take into consideration all those guidelines, because once we submit this to the authority, they go through it along with the guidelines together, and then only they give us the approval.
How your area is delineated? Or it is just the ownership, extent of ownership that you are preparing master plan?
Sorry, I didn't get your point. Can you please repeat?
I think let me add. I think a developer will acquire the land for a particular portion, and then he submits the master plan to the authorities. That is why that's how it is happening, isn't it?
Yes.
So there is no question of actual delineation of the influence area or something like that, which we see in Indian planning scenario. But it is actually an acquisition of a particular area by a developer, and he develops, he proposes a development, and that will be submitted to the authorities, get the sanction, and then he will develop it. That's the way it is, I feel.
And I think the scale of development also varies from here to India. If you see India, they have a couple of buildings which is going to be developed by a developer within a very limited land. But here, this one development can have different types of land uses, right from high rises to villas to mixed use to big landscape areas, all within that. So the scale is very, very different.
Okay, Isho, then let Dr. Rajiv have his query. Rajiv, please.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Dr. Rajiv. I did my PhD in infrastructure financing. I have 2 questions. One is related to finance and the other one is related to planning. So they are related. The first one is, as far as the infrastructure is concerned, it needs a huge upfront investment. So the government cannot single-handedly manage that. So in this scenario, at what extent the PPP models help to promote the sustainable projects in UAE? That is my first question. And the second one is, at what extent the planners giving importance for smart and sustainable infra projects while designing smart cities in UAE? Okay.
Let me tell you about the investment. Investment is usually done by the developer upfront. Okay, and once he develops the master plan and he gets the people coming in and then staying over there or utilizing those areas, then they start getting the return of investment. Okay, and if
is there any participation with the government? Is whether government provide land for them?
Government provides land to the developers. Developers, they have to get the land from the government, develop it, and then In return, they get whatever they have from the development itself. They subdivide the land, they distribute it to different owners, and they get the return.
Madam, now the smart and the sustainable projects gets much importance. And what extent the plan is giving priority for these smart and sustainable projects while planning these smart cities?
Yeah, there's a sector called sustainability in master planning stage as well as in the building stage also. So in master planning, they take care of the infrastructure, which is developed all over the master plan, the network and the assessment, and how it can be reduced, the resources can be reduced, how the orientation of the buildings will be, everything together within the master plan area. Now, when it comes to buildings, then again, they see different other aspects which is going on within the plot in terms of the building to that level. So when we submit to the authority, we have two submissions for sustainability. One for the master planning level, other one is for the building level. So after we have now green building also from Dubai municipality. So they have certain guidelines which they check, and after that only you get the building permit, not before.
Hello, madam. According to your experience, how do you suggest for Indian cities the master plan implementation and problems in India? We have listened to so many suggestions from our members. How to suggest for successful as master plan in India?
Very difficult question. I was discussing with Omar sir this morning. I have worked on Delhi master plan, and what I have seen that we make plans. Our plans are no less than any other country's master plans, but while it comes to implementation, it doesn't happen in a proper way. That's why it is left half done. Plus, we create more mess over there. I have worked on decentralization of business centers from the city core to the satellite towns and outskirts of Delhi. So what I found from my thesis and whatever work I have done for last 4 or 5 years, the core shop that stays there, the core business stays there, but they settle in the new area with opening up a new business over there. Maybe of the same type or different type, but eventually they are expanding, not decentralizing. So in a proper way, what we call decentralization, it is not happening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Kiran, please come. Kiran Vayat.
Hi, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, ma'am. I just want to ask, do the master plan which is made in UAE have zoning regulations? And also, I want to ask what will be the detailed scale of the master plan? Is the master plan done to a detailed scale of urban design? And are the sectoral projects included in the master plan? I just want to ask whether the master plan is done only spatially, considering the spatial aspects, or the sectoral parts are also considered, like other education part, the health, the other infrastructure. Is it also being considered in the master plan? Then I also want to ask how, because we have been hearing many news that whenever the rain happens there, the city gets flooded. So are there measures being taken to control, make a flood resilient plan within the city?
Okay, let us go one by one. You are talking about the civic facilities and amenities or the community facilities. Yes, there is an assessment of the population for the entire master plan with respect to the land uses and the GFA. And after we get the certain residential population, we have a guideline to assess the hierarchy of the community facilities that is going to come, plus the number of facilities to be coming in different sectors. And there is a catchment area for each type of community facility over there. Okay, usually the radius is 500 meters, which is walkable distance, which is considered. Like after each 500 meters, you'll see a cluster of community facilities within the master plan. So the community facility will be maybe a retail, open space or landscape area and a mosque. These are the major ones. And apart from this, We also study the health facilities required, maybe in terms of a clinic, in terms of this Dubai Municipality Healthcare Center, hospital, and daycare center. Plus, for education also, we have nurseries, we have schools, colleges. They have a different catchment area for a different type of master plan. So whatever is applicable to the master plan, we have to provide, and we have to allocate this and take it to the Dubai Municipality Community Facility section for approval.
Ma'am, one more question is there, ma'am. I just want to ask, like, whether the review of the master plans is being done. Any time phrase like the review of the master plan is being done?
To change, or what exactly is the purpose?
Because like after the introduction of the master plan, there can like changes. Whether the vision can change like after 5 years or something. So will there be a review of the master plan that these things should continue for a longer part, or after 5 years, like we can change the vision of the master plan and basically implementation plan review?
Yeah, let me divide this into two sections. Number one is when the master plan is ready, the land use plan is ready, but it is not built. So at that stage, there's a remaster planning or master plan modification that happens. You can change the land use. You can go for a reconfiguration of the plots. You can have a different type of a theme for the development. Okay, but if it is built, then you have the choice very limited. Like suppose you want to have a hospitality in place of residential. So you'll have to get a proper permission from different authorities to change your master plan or change your building from residential to hospitality or vice versa. So there is a fee also which is applicable, and the developer or the owner of that particular building has to apply and get the approval before he or she can do the changes in the building. But there will be some authority people who will come to visit your building after the changes are done, and they will make sure that whatever you are proposing as a facility for that particular land use is fulfilled.
Okay.
So there will be an inspection before you get the final approval.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am. Yeah.
Vibhu was asking for some question. Is she available there? Vibhu Visrudan? Okay, fine. Is there any more questions from our participants?
I have one question. ASHMITA, once the master plan is prepared, it's sanctioned, and it's started to implement, if at all some public something like public opposition or something happens, what do you usually do in UAE?
In UAE, that does not happen. Number one. Okay, once it is done, means it's done. Either you accept or you don't accept. You have other choices to move to other developments. But for that particular thing, you cannot just go onto the streets and have banners and no, this is not allowed here. But yes, you can give your like advices through different like government authorities, as I was telling you about the happiness index. Plus, you have this happiness meter, and then you can give your views through. But everything is controlled in the media also, but it's controlled.
That is the small difference between UAE and Kerala.
Yes.
That's not a small difference, it's a big difference, you know, when it comes to implementation success.
When we come to implementation, we are having a lot of, we are having a beautiful plans, we are having excellent planners here, but when we come to the implementation, there comes a lot of bias between local parties, local different stakeholders. That is the issue we are facing in Kerala as well as in other states in India.
I agree, yes.
Yeah, Nagul, I think you want to ask something.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, Dr. ASHMITA. So as you said at the beginning, it's really a good thing to plan, visualize, and see things come up. And I also was in Dubai for 2.5 years, and I worked in Mushail Parkman in some planning projects in Dubai. So in those, I mean, I wasn't into planning then. I was more into GIS then. But now, after a few years, many of my friends are there. But you talked about fresh planning actually till now. So some concern I'll ask, like there are two major areas which are very old areas in Dubai, like Karama and Bardubai. So, but I think in the recent years, these areas have undergone a great change. They are actually transformed into really modern places. So how smooth was that transition?
Okay, let me tell you, the change which happened in those old areas are mainly in the residential sectors. They changed the building facades, okay, the look and feel. Suppose you have a dilapidated building, okay, which was again refurbished from outside, and they had put some elements which will enhance the look of the building. Maybe it can be a projection, or it can be what do you say, louver kind of thing, or different paint, different finishes. So this has changed. But if you see the core of the building, it still remains the same. So what happens, they try to tell the owner to relocate the whoever resident is there. And the owner takes care, or the developer takes care of everything, how to relocate, how to bring them back, or ask the owners, the residents to go from there, vacate the building, and bring fresh residents next time when the building is ready.
And also, I think the infrastructure things have changed, because I think the RTA has also made changes. They have connected these areas to New Dubai more easily to reduce congestion of traffic. So did they maintain the old roads, or did they change the entire scenario?
No, old roads are still there. They have been expanded in some areas in the number of lanes. So there's always a margin when we decide the ROW, or right of way, there's always a margin to increase the lanes by 2 or 3 more lanes. Okay, so it's everywhere. So you will see the plot which starts, or exactly the building where it starts from, between that building and the, say, footpath, there's a gap. So that gap is for the expansion of the road. So tomorrow, if you don't have enough space for the vehicles to pass, they increase to 1 or 2 lanes and they upgrade the road. So that happens in bits and pieces. Plus, the old roads are still there, which is the Sheikh Zayed Road, the Emirates Road, they are still there. But new roads are getting expanded due to the expansion of the population.
Okay. So, I mean, they are still able to manage to widen these roads with the available space.
Yes, but in some cases, they don't widen the road, but what they do, they give you an alternative. So it's up to you whether you get frustrated and still use the road, or you take the alternative route.
But that will be costly. You have to pay for that.
No, paying for infrastructure is in a different manner. See, when we are staying in an accommodation, residential accommodation, we pay one service fee. So that part of service fee goes to the developer in maintaining your development. Okay, the entire area. If it is a building, it is going to the maintenance of the swimming pool, the gym, the common areas, and all that. And if it is a villa, so within the villa plot, you will maintain by yourself, but outside maintenance by the developer, a part of that service fee goes there. And this is how within the development, the maintenance is done. And when it comes to outside the development, yeah, the developer pays for it, for their access or for their surrounding roads to the development. Plus, we have different kind of levy which we are paying here. I mean, in terms of, say, toll tax and different types of VAT and other terms which we do not call them as tax, but yes, it's a form of tax.
Thank you. It was a great presentation. Thank you much.
Thank you.
May I request a couple of minutes from the moderator?
Yes. Yeah, Ajay Kumar, please.
Yeah. All right, Ashmita, thank you very much for your presentation. I want to give some kind of support notes on what ASHMITA has presented based on the questions that I have been hearing. The first question about the shoreline and why Dubai must use the sea area as opposed to a vast desert area that is available. Now, I must tell you, if you look at Abu Dhabi or any other emirate, you will see Dubai shoreline is, the original shoreline was a bit short. They don't have much shoreline. So in order to increase the shoreline, actually I was participating in this study of sonar sounding to identify what are the impact, what is the impact of such a development in the shore. And we did this something like 15 years ago. I was part of doing this project. So Dubai has a twin objective. The first objective, what ASHMITA pointed out, is of course glory, which is the vision. The vision is to make Dubai the best place on earth, and also to have significant landmarks to attract. So this is what ASHMITA pointed out, to be able to see from the space. But also there is a functional objective, and this objective is to increase the shoreline. And also to be able to have a much more developed area that is developed to attract foreign investment. So most of the people, say for example, Russia or the US or in other European countries, they prefer to live closer to the sea. As a result, the cream de la cream investment comes to Palm Jumeirah. So if you look at from the real estate point of view, what is important is to be able to create waterfront plots that command a significant premium and investment. So this is the first, this is a very important point that you must understand. Secondly, about the public participation, many people have asked this question. Now, I would point out, in addition to what ASHMITA said, is there are 3 levels of public participation in UAE. The first level is the municipality or the government runs a campaign to either send a submission of a particular area that is under development. So this is what is called as the pre-planning stage. So nationals and residents are motivated to call or to submit through email or through the app about their voice. They can voice it. You can voice it, and even a prize is given by the Dubai municipality for such good comments and opinion. The second thing is what happens in the monitoring. So which is the rulers themselves listen to the radio. We provide an addressing system for a cooperative society for the government. Now, the ruler listens to the public opinion on the radio about lack of facilities in a particular area, which is there is no address. So the caller is telling, I cannot ask the delivery boy to come to our house because there is no addressing system. So the ruler himself asks the authority to address this issue. So this is second level of public participation. And the third level of public participation is the post level after a particular service is rendered or during rendering a service, which ASHMITA elaborated by having a happiness meter implemented at every service point and at every desk. So after availing a service, you are able to simply tap on the smiley face to indicate your level of happiness. And this is continuously monitored by the authorities to see if there is what is the level at which people are satisfied. I must also tell you, at a different level, in Dubai, the ruler himself makes surprise visits to the government department. He himself goes and he sees that this is not correct and immediate decisions are taken. One of the decisions taken in the immigration department, in the olden days, there used to be little window, pre-COVID days. He went and he visited and he asked them to remove all the barriers. Let you face the people directly in front of you. Why do you have a partition between you? So these are the various levels by which public participation takes place in the UAE. And you would say it is much more, I would say, motivation from the government for the public to participate. Both nationals and residents are given due advantage of voicing their opinion. Now, the third questions that has been coming again and again about financing and these kind of things and about the master plan. In general, all the land is owned by the Crown. And the Crown, depending upon the vision, the most important thing is the vision of the leader and how that vision is converted into action. You know, if you have a vision and there is no action, it is just a dream. But if you have only action and there is no vision, it is just a waste of time. So in the UAE, the leaders have a very clear vision as to what they want to achieve. For instance, they want to make Dubai the happiest city. So all the actions that they do is very closely aligned to this particular vision. And this is what is very important. And in order to do that, they identify Expo 2020 and all the other things. Everything that they do is aligned to the core vision. And this is what is very important. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, that's a very important observation, and that shows the difference between two administrative systems and two cultures and two ruling systems in which we work in. But however, there are many things which we can learn from the system which is prevalent in Dubai. I don't think everything can be easily adopted, but it can be adapted. A lot of things can be adapted. And I would like to say that thing in our system also has been changed a lot during the past years from the planning system in which land use is more important to projectization, where smart cities are coming up with projects, more projects, which is implementable projects, and projects will be developed within the master plans, and then implementation funding is being supplied from the government, etc. I am part of a smart city, and I can understand, you know, while I was in the government department, how it was working, and now how it is working under project administration. So yeah, that was a good observation. And I think one more query, and we will stop here. I feel, you know, one participant has asked, you know, what is the impact of climate change and rising sea level in Dubai? Any real-time data collection or integrated solution for mitigating something like that? That is really a futuristic question. Ashmita,
One
can
thing,
you just enlighten?
Yeah, because Gulf is already like surrounded by land on three sides. There's any there's no chance, or maybe very limited chance of getting a tsunami or even the current of water is very minimum. So the chances of having the disaster or all of a sudden some kind of change, it is not possible.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we can stop. What about Ajay Kumar? Shall we go for a little bit more time, or shall we stop it?
There are no much queries, and we will.
Yeah, there is not many queries. Not actually, there is no query at all. So I think we can conclude the session. I would like to thank ASHMITA from my part, and that was a great presentation. And as I told earlier, that came from the huge experience she had at the Gulf, and let us have more such interactions in the future also. And I think that ITPA will take lead in having more interactions in the future also. And the participation level was also very high around. It came up to 68, 69 persons at a time. So that is a very good presentation, very good participation level. And back to Ajay Kumar for the rest of the session.
Suraj.
Thank you, sir. Now we will move to the vote of thanks by our treasurer, Kiran Kumar Senpai.
Hi. So it indeed has been a exciting evening. So first of all, good evening everyone to the one and all present here. On behalf of ITPI Kerala chapter, I extend my sincere gratitude to our honorable chief guest, Dr. ASHMITA Karmakar, urban planner, Khatib and Alami UAE, an experienced and eminent planner, to take out time from her busy schedule to grace the event. Thank you, ma'am. And also thank you for inspiring and encouraging us with your words and experience on this special day. Then I would like to also thank a special thanks to Sri Umar Sahib for making this event possible. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank Sri Ajay Kumar sir, a veteran planner, former CTP, a key personnel for Kochi Smart City, for effectively moderating this event and also pitching with valuable thoughts and ideas. Thank you, sir. I also like to thank Srimati Bindu ma'am for her kind introduction. Thank you, ma'am. I also thank Sri Satyanarayan sir, senior planner ITPI, for being part of this event and sharing your thoughts and ideas with us. I would also like to extend my gratitude to all officials, dignitaries, and members of ITPA National Chapter and other regional chapters. I am also thanking all professors and students of esteemed educational institutions for being part of this event. A vote of thanks would be incomplete without thanking the core team of the event. I would like to thank our ITPA Kerala chapter, ITPA chairman Ajay Kumar sir, Sri Negul sir, and all the executive members for effectively coordinating this event. I would also like to thank Sri Suraj for wonderfully hosting this event. Thank you, Suraj. Once again, thanking all the participants for being part of this event. Keep supporting us. And before we sign off, have a great weekend and good night.
So, thank you very much,